going away simply because of the nostalgia factor. I think, you know, people like to use them, and until like us millennials are, you know, off the internet, I think we're still going to be throwing hashtags in.
Completely agree. I think we're stuck in our ways with hashtags or what works for us. So I think maybe in the future it's going to be the keywords coming out of our mouth, what's written on our videos. It's just going to be more of.
We as content creators and business owners, we have to kind of adapt and evolve in the same manner as Instagram is. You know, I do like your argument for it, that we keep it around as long as we're still around using it. You know, at that point, my daughter's going to be saying, Daddy, what are you doing? What is this hashtag pound thing that you're adding to the rest of the video? It's a very highly debated topic. I know a lot of people have a lot of insight and ideas of what they think is best. We are discussing hashtags on Instagram. It seems like we all have a love for Instagram, but there is that debate, that heated argument of, do hashtags work or not in today's Instagram? We know today's Instagram is different from a few years prior. Do you believe hashtags are still necessary on Instagram? And I say still necessary because at one point in time, we pretty much say that they were absolutely almost required to find a reach. Do you feel like they are still required today, Lauren, in regards to Instagram?
I do think that they are necessary in terms of if you are growing your account, if you're actively growing your account. I mean, if you are someone with a very large following, I feel like you can, you know, get away because your account already has a ton of engagement. But I do think if you're actively growing your account, they are necessary simply because it's another way for Instagram to categorize your content. And that's what we want to do, so they can show your content to the right people on the platform. So that's where I sit
And I think that's a really fair opinion in regards to the state of it today.
I completely agree, especially when you're a new account, like the algorithm's trying to figure out who to send your content out to, and especially for people that are maybe interested in social media. So you want to make sure that you're using the right keywords that are going to help you get discovered. So I completely agree. I think it's 100%
Well, it seems
necessary.
like you both agree on for newer accounts. Now, I'm curious, I'm going to throw this one in there. Now, what if it's an account that's already established? They probably have a few 100,000 followers. Would you still say the same thing, that hashtags are still necessary for them, Katrina?
Yeah, I mean, like Lauren was saying, I do think like the algorithm has figured out your content. So maybe when you do have a lot of followers, like it knows who to send your content out to. But what is great for the people that don't know who you are, if I'm maybe going through the hashtag of Reels Coach and your content is now everywhere within there, you look like the expert. So now I'm discovering your account through that hashtag, and that's another potential client. So I do think it is just extra exposure to like get your content discovered.
And you're nodding along with that too, Lauren. I assume you agree with that.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Especially for people like businesses who are like local. I think that like, you know, tagging the location and then using local hashtags, I think that that's very important. Because I still have people who say, hey, I found you in a hashtag. And I mean, people are still searching for them, and Instagram, they still use it to, you know, pop up and populate, because we do have like the keywords, like Katrina was saying, the keywords and, you know, the search bar and hashtags, what they used to be like the only way to discover. But now, you know, we have the SEO tying into it, and they still have their place.
Yeah, I fully agree with the both of you. And I posted a carousel today, and it's pretty much entitled, I tested hashtags for 90 days. And it's pretty much hit the mark in regards to everything you guys just stated, but the numbers are backing it up. Exactly what you guys are stating in regards to they are necessary, particularly for newer accounts that haven't been established just yet. But I want to throw out this number from my findings in regards to that. I did it over from October to December. Every day I posted during the week. One day I would spend posting a reel, but every day was pretty much a single image. And looking at the numbers, it's pretty much impression-wise with hashtags, 510,000 impressions over 3 months. But when I added up the hashtags and took them out, it was about 30,000. So that means if I took out 30,000, if I didn't add those hashtags, I would have lost out on 30,000 impressions just from not adding hashtags. And I think the numbers don't lie. If you take the numbers out, if you take the hashtags out, you're missing a whole amount of people. That account was 30,000 followers. I would have missed my entire subscription base. So it kind of goes to show you with everything that you guys are stating, they are still very necessary if you are trying to grow. They might not be as effective. It's been really great in the past few years. So I want to know, what is like some of the biggest differences, like for you, Katrina, what was some of the biggest differences that you could actually state from today's Instagram use of hashtags to maybe 3 or 4 years ago?
Well, one, they're
Mm.
being used a lot more. So hashtags that maybe worked 3, 4 years ago definitely don't work now because they're overpopulated. And another thing that people don't even look for with hashtags is there's a lot of hashtags that are dead. So you actually have to like go into the hashtag and see if it's still being used and if it's relevant, or else it's just a dead hashtag and your content's not going to be discovered within there. So you have to actually do your research with the hashtags now and using them. So I think that's maybe like the difference now is just
I think
being
you brought up
overused
something
now.
really important there, and that's the key word of research. I think a lot of people are just so used to just grabbing hashtags, whether they grab it from other people's accounts or whatever's worked for them in the past, and they don't take the time to research them. But I wonder if you have noticed the same thing, Lauren, in regards to using hashtags 3 to 4 years ago to now.
Oh gosh, yes. I remember it back then. It was like it was really the only way for to plant your content and to get discovered through Instagram. So it was like you have to have 30 hashtags. We were putting them in stories because at the time Instagram
Yeah.
were hashtagging. They were putting it up in the hashtag as like a story. So that was a great way to get new eyeballs. And then with the now that we're doing SEO, it's a completely different approach or strategy to how you're looking at hashtags. Like I said before, I looked at it as a place to make sure that I'm planting my content, and yes, you're still planting your content in that hashtag community, but you're also aiding the algorithm in those that categorization. So that's how I have shifted my framework from 3-4 years ago into how I was using hashtags to, the strategy that I recommend clients and I use myself today.
Awesome, because you're pretty much saying you've adapted, you've evolved along with Instagram, because Instagram 3 4 years ago is an entirely different place than what it is now, and
Yeah.
we can't consider hashtags to work like they did 3 4 years ago, which I find like so many are expecting nowadays, and that's why they're upset at the performance of their hashtags. But when we learn how hashtags are working now, and the system in large, as you mentioned, SEO is now more SEO friendly in regards to using keywords and captions in the bio and even in your name. We have to play things out a little bit smarter today when we use our hashtags, because the olden golden days of Instagram are long gone, where you could just throw up 30 hashtags and probably get 300
Yeah.
followers from that
Yeah.
one post. Those days are long gone. I see Instagram going the way of being SEO friendly. Their purpose has changed in regards to hashtags. They're no longer used for just reach. It's more like a categorization of your content. And as you stated, Lauren, it does help the algorithm so that they know what the content is that you're applying it to. But gone are those good old golden days on Instagram. Now that kind of makes me think of, we think of the past, but now we have to consider the future. You know, what is the next 3 to 4 years going to look like in regards to hashtags, Lauren? Like, is it going to be the same today? Would hashtags even exist on Instagram? What do you think about that?
I think that it might go into more of an evolution of more SEO based, but I still think that hashtags also like have this like form of nostalgia and people are still going to want to use them. Like, I don't think they'll ever go away completely. They might just be one of those things where, you just add them in. And I still like to this day, like, I don't think you need to spend the amount of time and research that you used to have to spend in with them in order to get that reach. But I don't see them ever going away simply because of the nostalgia factor. I think, people like to use them. And until like us millennials are, off the internet, I think we're still going to be throwing hashtags in. I really do.
So hashtags you're saying they got a
We're
long
stuck
shelf
in our
life for a while. I like
Yeah.
that. Throwback hashtags. I could see that becoming a trend real soon.
Yeah.
Completely agree. I think we're stuck in our ways with
Yes.
hashtags or what works for us. But like I was saying with TikTok, like I've been researching on TikTok, and you can already see like the keywords when you're typing keywords on the Explore page. That is what's highlighted. So it's not even the hashtags, it's keywords. So I think maybe in the future it's going to be keywords coming out of our mouth. what's written on our videos. It's just going to be more of that,
And
like
I've
looking for
been
those
noticing that even
keywords.
on YouTube and well in regards to the keywords, they stopped using tags, which was pretty much their version of hashtags in a way. They don't rely
Yeah.
on that anymore, especially, I mean, it's Google, you know, the biggest search engine platform in the world. They're basing things a lot more now on keywords because they are all about search engine optimization. So we as content creators and business owners, we have to kind of adapt and evolve in the same manner as Instagram is. I think Instagram is going to give SEO a fair chance to see how it works, and I think they're going to actually see a lot of the benefits from it. I honestly won't be surprised if it kind of dies off to the point where it's gone completely. You know, I do like your argument for it, that we keep it around as long as we're still around using it. You know, at that point, my daughter's going to be saying, Daddy, what are you doing? What is this hashtag pound thing that you're adding to the rest of you?
And that's what, well, and then when we first started using it, we were like, why are people putting pound signs in front of like words? Like, what is this? It's gonna come full circle.
Yes.
And it always does, right?
It's true.
But I do like, and I look at them now because we were talking about how it is going more so like SEO. And I will say, I love my consumer experience on TikTok because of how they use the keywords and how when you go into the search or when you are looking at someone's video, it's all of a sudden it's populating and there's another rabbit hole to go down, whether that is a previous video or what they're talking about, and they're putting it all together. So, obviously consumers stay on the platform longer. And I do see Instagram, going that way, but I still believe at this time, like during this transition, the hashtags second to your visual and what you're speaking in your visual, whether it's a post or video, and then aligning your caption using keywords that help there. And then the hashtags, they still are like the cherry on top in terms of reach on the Instagram platform specifically.
I like the fact that you said cherry on top. I've actually used that same idea because if you put it on top of a cupcake, without the cupcake is still delicious. But the cherry on top just adds a little bit of extra, and I think that's a great way to look at hashtags. It adds a little bit of extra that doesn't cost much out of your what you got to put out. You guys heard from us what we think of hashtags, the importance of them. Are they necessary? I want to know from you guys that are watching, how important are hashtags to you? Go ahead and put it in the comments. If hashtags are really important and you still use them every day, go ahead and put a thumbs up in the comments. I would love to see how many people still use them. With that out of the way, I want to make sure that I always say my little tagline: move forward and step your gram up, with all of that information that we just delivered in regards to hashtags.